The Republicans are hell-bent on making sure that he doesn't get his Miranda rights and that he also is possibly revoked of his citizenships. I should say Republicans and Joe Lieberman, to be fair. Lindsey Graham is going to chime in on this. He was a lawyer in the armed forces before. Apparently, he's forgotten every single thing he's ever learned about that because he's about to make this stupid argument.
I am all into national security. I want us to take our Social Security cards and make them biometric. I want to stop reading these guys their Miranda rights. Me and Peter are so much on board here.
Yeah.
You know, nobody in their right mind would expect a Marine to read someone caught on the battlefield their rights. You catch them and you interrogate them lawfully to gather intelligence. Your special unit is probably the best in the world at this. But I don't think it's smart for us to say that the homeland is not part of the battlefield. You get to America, you get a much better deal. You get rewarded. If you can be caught in Pakistan and intelligence gathering can happen with the intelligence agency without your Miranda warnings being given, why should you get a better deal when you get here? Even if you're an American citizen helping the enemy, you should be viewed as a potential military threat, not some guy who tried to commit a crime in Times Square. That you would have the opportunity to hold this suspect because they represent a military threat to our country, even though they're a citizen, and be able to gather intelligence before you did anything else, because what I want to know more about this guy is not how he committed the crime, but what led him to commit the crime and who he worked with. And Miranda warnings are counterproductive in my view. So we need a law that would allow you to go to a judge somewhere like a FISA judge and hold a suspect like this, and working with the intelligence officials of this country to gather intelligence, then make a good prosecutorial decision.
You know, I keep using words like idiot and stupid, and some people say, oh, well, you shouldn't call them that. But what am I going to do? Because look at this, right? The Republicans claim, and the conservatives in this country claim, that they care about the Constitution and that they are worried about the government intruding on their civil liberties. And what a joke. Because here's the Republicans all saying, no, you shouldn't have your constitutional rights, as interpreted by the United States Supreme Court, okay? Now, I'm not a big fan of Miranda warnings, and I don't think they're necessarily in the Constitution, but the Supreme Court has decided that they are, that they're part of that, and it should obviously be applied in the United States of America, especially for American citizens. And the reality is, it actually is applied to everybody, even if you're not an American citizen. So, for example, let's say a guy is a tourist here, and he winds up raping somebody. We read him his Miranda rights, even though he's not an American citizen. Why? We want to be able to use it in court, and that's the way that our justice system is set up. Now, these guys don't believe in that at all. But the reason I use the word stupid in this case is, conservatives, don't you get what's happening here? Because Lindsey Graham just said that America is part of the battlefield, and that if the Marines catch someone on the battlefield, of course they don't read them their rights. And now, since America is part of the battlefield, well, you don't get your rights either. Could there be any more government intrusion? Could there be anything less constitutional, where the government can just come up to you and say, oh, well, that's it, I think you're part of the battlefield and you don't get your rights. Go, okay? Isn't that what you're warning everybody about at your tea parties? See, they don't think. They have no mind. They just get led around by the Rush Limbaughs and the Fox News channels. Okay, so could it get any worse than that? Yes. Joe Lieberman's proposal makes it worse. He thinks not only should you not get your Miranda rights, but you should be basically arbitrarily stripped of your citizenship if he suspects that you're a terrorist. Let's listen to Joe Lieberman, clip number 6.
But you know, you raise a point, and some of us have started to talk about it here, which is, there is an existing law which hasn't been much used. It says that if an American citizen is shown to be fighting in a military force that is an enemy of the United States, then that person loses their citizenship, and they no longer have the rights of citizenship. That's an old law that was adopted during a very different time of conflict. I think it's time for us to look at whether we want to amend that law to apply it to American citizens who choose to become affiliated with foreign terrorist organizations, whether they should not also be deprived automatically of their citizenship and therefore be deprived of rights that come with that citizenship.
Almost every legal expert in the country is screaming, this is insanity. Even people who worked in the Bush administration. Who gets to decide who gets stripped of their American citizenship? You didn't even have the trial. You don't know if the guy's guilty or not guilty. Later in the show, we have a guy who was sitting in prison for 30 years convicted on rape. Oh, whoop, they did the DNA testing. It turns out it wasn't him. Well, strip you of your citizenship. That's it. Well, it starts with terrorism, and then it goes to terrorism suspects. Then it goes to Joe Lieberman's idea of a terrorism suspect. And by the way, how about domestic terrorists? Another good point. Well, why aren't we stripping people of their American citizenship if they're Scott Roeder and they killed an abortion doctor? Why aren't we going after, in the past we would have gone after Tim McVeigh, stripped him of his American citizenship, etc. Why don't we do that? Why is it that Joe Lieberman only mentions that within the context of a bomber who, in this case, turned out to be Muslim? Why was that never mentioned when the guy ran into the, IRS building? He wound up dying anyway, but attacked the government. The Pittsburgh cop shooter, the Hutari, the militia that were going to kill all those cops, 9 guys arrested. Why didn't we strip them of their American citizenship? Why didn't we have that discussion? Because it's not about that. It's not about terrorism. It's about, hey, we don't like those Muslims. We want to take away their rights. And yeah, they start with Muslims. But listen, you Tea Party clowns, who are they going to go to next? I thought you were against government power. I thought you were worried that the government was going to come to get you. This is how the government comes to get you. By saying, oh, you know what? Now the senators get to decide who arbitrarily doesn't have citizenship anymore. That's crazy. That's as un-American an idea as you could possibly have. Now, I say this within the context of something else that the Republicans are arguing for today, which is going to blow your mind. They're saying, yes, we should not read the Miranda rights to suspected terrorists. Yes, we should possibly revoke their citizenship. But no, we should not ban them from buying weapons. Not kidding, not exaggerating in the least bit. Susan Collins of Maine, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, among other Republicans saying, no, if you are on the terrorist watch list, you should still be able to buy any gun or weapon you like in America. How is that possible? How can anyone make that argument? But they do. They come out there with a straight face and they say, well, look, some of the people on the terrorist watch list, some of them aren't really terrorists. And, I don't want to delay them getting a gun immediately. Now, if some terrorists along the way wind up getting heavy artillery, well, that's, a sad day for them. But after they blow up people and they kill people and they shoot them dead, well, then we'll deny them their rights. So that's the great Republican idea. And Mayor Bloomberg, who used to be a Republican in New York, is saying, are you mental? He's calling this a terror gap. This is a terrorist loophole. You know that they're tracking this. The FBI knows who's on the terrorist watch list. They can't get on a plane. But if they want to go and buy, like I said, heavy artillery, any kind of gun or weapon they want, they're allowed to buy it. So the FBI is tracking this. 91% of the people that are on terrorist watch lists that go to buy guns are given the guns immediately. They do a quick background check and they're like, we don't have any laws on the books that could deny us. Because that's what they want to pass. So some Democrats are saying, and barely, because they're so scared of this issue, they're saying, hey, could we not allow the terrorist watch list people to get guns and weapons? By the way, the guy who did the Times Square bombing or the attempted bombing, yeah, of course he had a weapon. He went and got a gun. Who cares? Now, he wasn't on the watch list anyway. But people who are on the watch list, they can go anytime they like and buy the guns, and the Republicans back them 100%. 91% of the terrorist watch list people walk in, they go, yeah, who cares I'm on the terrorist watch list? I don't care. Give me a machine gun. Give me a gun. Give me this. Give me a silencer. Who cares? Give me an RPG. We're crazy. Why do we allow this?